Friend's sister bullied me for 20 years. So I finally snapped back at her insults, and now half our friend group wants me to apologize. But I refused and it started a huge fight. Background: my 33F friend Beth, 34F, has an older sister Jill, 38F, who has hated me since we first met. She always called me a weirdo freak and said I deserved the bullying I got at school because I was such a dork. I stopped visiting Beth's house because of Jill and didn't see her again until Beth's 18th birthday, where she told people that I was harassing her boyfriend. I'd literally said hello to him and that was it, because I was too ugly and weird to attract my own guy. Thankfully, she moved away not long after and I was just glad to be rid of her. Now, Beth and I arranged a dinner reservation with the other three in our group: Liz, 33F, Kelly, 34F, and Megan, 34F. This was our first real chance to see each other in over 2 years, due to a number of reasons, and we were all looking forward for a chance to catch up. Beth offered to drove me and Kelly with her to the restaurant, since neither of us can drive and I have CFS and several types of chronic pain, so traveling isn't easy for me. We caught a bus to Beth's flat together, but it was Jill who answered the door, which shocked us both. Beth hadn't told us Jill was visiting, and we'd have appreciated a heads up since neither of us have good history with Jill. Still, we were polite. Kelly said hello and complimented Jill's dress, and I said, "Hi Jill, nice to see you, how have you been?" Jill completely ignored Jelly and turned to me and said, "Better than you, clearly, still a pale freak, aren't you?" I couldn't help it and snapped at her that at least I'm not a bitter hag still clinging to grudges I started with a 12-year-old. "Maybe it's time you grew up a bit." Jill immediately ran off screaming for Beth and said she's not taking us anywhere until that CT apologizes, which confused me and Kelly because why would she be taking us anywhere? That was when Beth came out and revealed her car was broken, so Jill was meant to be driving us and I shouldn't have been cruel to her sister, and that's just Jill's humor. Kelly called bullshit and said Jill is a bully and she only surprised I hadn't snapped years ago and told me I'd better not apologize. I said I had no intention to. Beth said, "Well, you can make your own way to the restaurant then," and kicked us out. Kelly and I called Liz and Megan to update them and say we'd be running late since we now had to pay for a cab and they are split. Liz thought I should just apologize because Beth is siding with Jill and it would cut the tension, but Megan thought this was long overdue and Jill had it coming and Beth needs to accept her sister's actions have consequences. In the end, I refused to apologize and we got a taxi, only to find out Beth was refusing to join us over what I said to Jill. This was a week ago, and Beth is now refusing to speak to any of us other than Liz, who told her she said I was at fault, until I apologized to her sister. Ida? Comments: Beth and Jill, thank you. Liz and Beth's reactions to this whole thing had me feel I was going insane, and Kelly and I were both really confused about why Beth didn't warn us beforehand. She knows our history with Jill isn't pleasant. TBH, I'm seriously considering cutting Beth off for this if she keeps reacting this way. Thank you for your comment. Writing this all out has made me realize I have been too forgiving of Beth over the years, especially where Jill is concerned. I think I will be cutting ties with her for sure. Their history, thank you for your comment. I said this in another reply, but Beth and I have been friends since I was 12 and she was one of the few people in our year group who didn't bully me. Since Liz, Megan and Kelly are all friends with her as well, it's been easier to just put up with her. It's getting ridiculous now and I'm seriously considering cutting Beth off for this and just dealing with the fallout. Who TF holds on to 30-year drama? It's honestly bizarre, but this is exactly the same as she acted when we were in school. I do not understand her at all or what she hoped to get out of this. Nobody did anything when it was a 17-year-old picking on a 12-year-old? Yay, Beth and Jill's family acting like it was harmless fun, and my own family were so caught up with the in-school bullying I didn't tell them about Jill's comments, cause honestly, compared to what I faced at school it was so minor. I've definitely had my eyes opened about Beth and Liz cause of this, and I am thinking it's time to cut them off. Beth definitely, Liz I will give a final chance to apologize. What's so great about being her friend anyway? I've been sat thinking about your questions for the last few minutes and I'm sad to say I cannot think of a single thing I have missed about Beth in the 2 years since we last saw each other. Our group? Sure, plenty, but Beth herself, no. As we've grown older we've clashed more and more, especially about my health, and I bit my tongue a lot for the sake of our group, but I think I need to have a quiet word with Meg and Kelly to let them know I'll be cutting contact with Beth and Liz. Sure, Acadia 4376, NTA. She is a bully and always was. Do not apologize under any circumstances. Beth knows exactly who her sister is and still sided with her when Jill was clearly in the wrong. Shame on Beth. Unrepentant squirrel. Beth didn't have your back, and she is not a good friend. She is an Jill is an and you deserve better. Unrepentant squirrel. And I should have added, Beth isn't just an a-hole for not having your back, it is also inexcusable that she ever allowed her sister to talk to like that, and baffling that she expected you to apologize. It always hurts to lose a friend, but you are truly better off without Beth in your life. Matt Davies, Beth has been this way for 21 years and nothing has changed. What makes you think it'll change now? Bordatham 1962, NTA. She can give it but she can't take it. That sort you don't apologize to. And Beth is an A too. Gosh, what a pair. 38 and running to 34 because another 34 was mean to her. This is a playground dispute and you called it. I'd be wary of Beth, she caused this by not telling you Jill was going to be there. Sure, Acadia 4376, agreed, and then she backed up her sister who was clearly in the wrong. I almost hate to say this, but one thing I've realized over the past few years is that the people who tell you not to apologize because it's a sign of weakness have a point. I used to think that it was some borderline sociopathic power play thing, but really it's just about not being walked on. In this case, Op did nothing wrong, so apologizing would just be admitting I'm a doormat and you can walk all over me. Don't get me wrong, if you did something that merits an apology you should apologize, but don't do it just to keep the peace or some nonsense. Update. Hi folks, a lot of you asked me to update after my last post to let you know what I decided to do. Thank you to all the commenters who let me know I was not going crazy. Liz and Beth's insistence that I apologize was making me second guess myself, so I appreciate your help. Most of you also pointed out Beth's reaction was enabling Jill, and Liz's reaction was expecting me to roll over in the name of keeping the peace. I've come to realize that this has been a pattern for years in our group, playing peacekeeper to Beth and Liz for the good of the group, not only for me, but for Megan and Kelly as well. So, the update. I still haven't heard from Beth, but Liz has been bombarding me with texts and voicemails saying I was out of order and owe all three of them apologies for how I acted and for continuing to drag things out. She even suggested as a way to start making it up I should take everyone, including Jill, to a restaurant and pay for everything. I have no desire to spend what would be a month's rent on their drinks bill alone, not to mention I don't feel I've done anything wrong. Frankly, that she even suggested this only persuaded me more to cut her off. I met up with Megan and Kelly last night and told them that I'm not apologizing to Jill. Frankly, she's stuck in her high school mean girl era and I'd be glad never to see her again. I also said I am sick of swallowing my feelings to avoid tension because Liz and Beth never apologize, and I am cutting contact with Beth and Liz. I was expecting protests about breaking up the group. I did not expect Megan to admit she's only stuck with Liz for so long because, like me with Beth, Liz was one of her only friends during her bullied years and she didn't want to ruin our dynamic by acting out of turn. Or for Kelly to say that for years she's been sick of Liz and Beth treating the three of us like we're inferior and she was worried if she spoke up about it, she'd lose me and Megan as well. We all had a very overdue chat about how we all really feel about this group and agreed that Beth and Liz are not true friends to any of us. Kelly and Megan showed me their messages from Beth and Liz, basically painting me as some kind of demon hellbent on ruining their lives. I had to laugh at the one from Liz reminding them both of how I ruined her wedding by not attending due to my selfish emergency surgery. This was 5 years ago and I'm only now hearing that I ruined things, because some guests asked after my health at the reception and drew attention away from her big day. Clearly, I am an awful person for this. Anyway, we are completely cutting contact. We've saved our messages just in case, cause I don't see Jill, Beth or Liz disappearing quietly from our lives once they realize we're not going to play ball, but in the meantime, we're planning a zoo trip next week, so we'll enjoy a day out free of drama. Comments, Aquavinatus, it's amazing what communication can reveal. That being said, it's obvious that Jill, Beth, and Liz have been keeping up this charade for years and have been benefiting from it. Now, that everything has been revealed to Op, Kelly, and Megan, those three can cut off the other three for good and enjoy their lives without the unnecessary drama. Corgi Huntress, good. 4. You. This is truly a positive update because you three have a lot of happy times to look forward to. NTA. Harry Potter Freak 23, in all honesty. I would change all of your numbers, that way you don't have to worry about them harassing you by them using other numbers. To get a hold of you. Sleepy Chick Op, thank you for this suggestion, I'll pass it on to Kelly and Megan as well. At the moment I have just blocked Liz and Beth, as otherwise I need to update all my medical stuff, work, friends and family etc. and would prefer not to have that hassle. If they do start harassing me though, then I won't hesitate to change my number. Queen Legolas, great job standing up for yourself. But be warned, they'll throw a big fuss, possibly online. You might deal with some flying monkeys. Sleepy Chick Op, thank you, we are battening down the hatches just in case. I'm anticipating flying monkeys and have warned my family and other friends of what's up in case anyone tries getting at me through them. Luckily, other than an old FB page I used to keep in touch with a few friends and family abroad, my social media is pretty non-existent so coming at me online isn't going to be easy. Kelly and Megan are both more active though, and are already removing contacts and blocking people known to side with Beth and Liz. We're doing what we can to stay ahead of things. Macaroni_rascal42, I was over being a teenager when I was a teenager, I'll never understand fully grown adults who still act like immature children with an undeveloped frontal lobe. Kazu2324, I will never jeopardize the beans. For some people, that is their literal peak. In high school, they were attractive, popular, people liked them, or didn't want to be bullied by them, which makes these people think they're incredible people. Once they've lost those things or other people outgrow them or get tired of their shit, they've lost everything because again, that's all they had. So they hold on to their glory days thinking, Look, I'm just as awesome as I was in high school, everyone else is wrong. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Wife suddenly wanted a divorce, then I discovered their affair and exposed it to their boss and got them both fired. Now she's jobless, her new guy wants to leave her and she's begging for my help. I'm a 31-year-old guy, and I've been in a relationship with my soon-to-be ex-wife, who's 28, for 7 years. We were married for 5 of those years. We both had jobs that made us think kids weren't in our plans, but we had so many other amazing plans for our future. Throughout the 7 years we were together, we never had any disagreements about the direction we wanted to take or the goals we had for our future. So, back in February, my wife started a new job, and that's when she met this guy, her coworker, who's 38 years old. After her 2-week training, she came home, and I noticed that she was chatting a lot with this guy. I've never been a jealous person, and I understand that our industry is male-dominated, so she's often surrounded by guys. I always trusted her and never questioned her loyalty or boundaries. However, I couldn't help but notice that she was texting this guy a lot. In March, I brought it up twice, expressing my concerns, but she reassured me that he's just a friend and I shouldn't worry. They had common interests, like being Christians, and they chatted a lot about the Bible. I'm not religious. She even said that she would stop talking to him if I felt uncomfortable, but I knew they were going for training together again at the end of March. I realized it would be impossible to stop her from talking to him, so I didn't push the issue further. I always made sure to check in with my wife to see if she was happy in our marriage or if there was anything I could do to improve things. I never received any negative feedback from her, and even as recently as mid-March, she was telling me that I was the best thing that ever happened to her. However, things took a turn when she left for a month of job training in a different location at the end of March. In the first few days, everything seemed normal between us, but as the week progressed, we started to fight a lot. I'll admit, some of it was my fault because I was going through some personal stuff and was feeling quite emotional. But there was something else bothering me too. She seemed distant and expressed some strange ideas about the future that didn't sound like her at all. This made me feel uneasy because we used to hardly ever argue about anything. I can't even remember the last time we had a big fight before April. It's been a confusing and challenging time for both of us. I felt really bad about arguing with her because I knew how important it was for her. The main issue we were fighting about was her not maintaining clear boundaries with this guy from work, and it was obvious to me that he was interested in her romantically. Then, she brought up the need for space and time to think about our relationship and our future. She assured me that she still loved me, but things weren't the same anymore. I was confused, but I respected her request for space because I didn't fully understand what was going on. After a couple of days, she dropped the bombshell of divorce during a FaceTime conversation. It was devastating, and at that moment, I still didn't have a clear grasp of the situation, but deep down, I had a gut feeling that she might be leaving with this other guy. It's been a roller coaster of emotions and uncertainty for me. When she finally returned home in mid-May, I went to the airport to pick her up. As soon as I saw her, something felt off. She didn't even give me a hug after not seeing each other for a month and a half. When we got home, she didn't bother unpacking her luggage. That first night, she looked me in the eyes and told me directly that she wanted a divorce and that she no longer loved me. It was incredibly tough and hurtful, but I was still holding on to the hope that maybe our arguments and my emotional ups and downs had contributed to her feelings, so I tried to work things out. But the very next day, she started acting differently. She claimed she wanted to clean the house and create nice memories for the last couple of days before she left. I sensed something wasn't right, and I felt like she was hiding things from me, so for the first time in 7 years, I went through her phone. There, I discovered that even before she came back home, she was already in a relationship with that coworker guy, and they had even signed a lease to move in together. This was just a month and a half after she had left home at the end of March. She had told this guy that she was willing to give up everything to start anew with him. It was a devastating revelation, and it left me feeling even more hurt and confused. I still feel terrible to this day for going through her phone because it's something I had never done in our relationship before, and I felt like I had crossed a line. However, at that moment, I decided to take screenshots of her conversations with the coworker and acted like nothing happened, just to see how far she would go with all the lies she had been telling me. For the following days, I kept asking her questions about her and this coworker, but I never got any honest answers. Finally, that night when we were talking, I got really frustrated and angry, and I started pressing her for the truth. She turned it around and blamed me for my own issues, saying that's why we could never be together. Even during our heated arguments, she continued to lie. Eventually, she decided to leave that night, and as soon as she was gone, I sent her all the screenshots I had taken and told her that I already knew everything. I admitted that I was testing her to see how far she would go with her deception. She then claimed that they only started their relationship after she brought up divorce, so she argued that it wasn't cheating. She also said that she had been wanting out of the relationship for a long time but was just waiting for the right moment because she perceived me as controlling and abusive. Seeing her leave and knowing it might be the last time I see her was one of the hardest moments in my life. I kept asking her to be honest with me and show some respect for our marriage until the very end. She had been an amazing wife for 7 years, and it's tough for me to understand how she could change so drastically in such a short period of time. I'm still left with a lot of confusion and questions. After she moved out, I didn't waste any time and hired a lawyer to file for divorce. She didn't want any of the belongings I got her, the house, the cars, or any financial support. She just wanted to end things. It's not a decision I wanted to make, but I couldn't risk her changing her mind, so I went ahead with the divorce process. I already have the signed paperwork back, so it's in progress now. It's been a tough journey, but I'm trying to stay strong and move forward. I wanted to make sure she learned a valuable lesson before I walked away for good. What she did was hurtful, and I was feeling really upset. So, I decided to act without causing any harm to my own character. I gathered all the screenshots of her conversations with her coworker and put them into a PDF. Then, I sent it to their boss. My hope was that this would help them understand the consequences of their actions and treat others with more respect in the future. And just like that, the both of them got fired from the company, a perfect way to start their love story. Even though I'm still hurt by her cheating, I didn't want to stoop to her level and ruin my own reputation in the process. It's been 2 months since she told me she wanted a divorce, and I'm happy to say that I'm doing a lot better now. My soon-to-be ex has been trying to contact me begging for mercy. She told me she's been having trouble being able to find a job since, and the guy she moved in with is having second thoughts on breaking up with her since he lost his job because of her. If she thinks I will help her in any way, then she's absolutely nuts. During this time, I've been trying to focus on myself and work towards building a new life and becoming a better person. I understand that neither of us was perfect, nor our relationship had its flaws. But what hurt me the most was how quickly everything changed. In less than 2 months, she went from being in our marriage to being in a new relationship and now living together with this person. It's been hard to grasp how all the memories we shared, the things we built together, and the plans we had for the future could seemingly vanish overnight because of someone new in her life. However, I've come to realize that dwelling on the past won't help me move forward. Instead, I want to focus on the positive aspects of my life and the opportunities that lie ahead. I'm learning to accept that some things are beyond my control, and I'm determined to create a bright future for myself. I believe that as time goes on, I'll heal, and new adventures and joys will come my way.